Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. I had a request on my YouTube channel yesterday to show someone how to add the Looney Tunes TV show to their Plex server. They couldn't figure out how to do it, and it is kind of an odd one. So here's my test server. It's full of public domain media, one of my test servers. And in my kids' TV show library, I have just one show, the Looney Tunes. Season 1930 and season 1931, and as you can tell, it's not a real TV show. These are actually old movie shorts that TVDB nicely packaged as a virtual TV show, and TMDB does not do the same thing, so you can't find it at TMDB if that's your naming guide. So luckily for us, Plex's TV show scanner, an agent, if you're using the latest Plex TV series and the Plex series options for scanner and agent, it pulls metadata from Plex's own daily cache of both TMDB and TVDB for their TV show library, and then Plex does the same thing with IMDb and the movie database for their movie library. Which means TVDB has nothing to do with a Plex movie library, just as IMDb has nothing to do with a Plex TV show library. So basically, if you set your TV show library up with this advanced option to pull episode ordering from the TVDB, you can just name all your TV shows to the TVDB. Usually everything's identical at both databases, but sometimes you might have a show listed in one and not the other. It's usually a virtual show like the Looney Tunes at TVDB, but I have noticed helping people with certain anime shows that the show might be a reboot of some other show or some additional show, and TVDB and TMDB might name it differently depending which database you're in. But that's a very rare occurrence, and basically you should find it in the database you use as your naming Bible. I use TVDB and I always change this. It used to be that Plex wouldn't scan a virtual show like this properly unless you change this
You have an informational
advanced
message.
setting. But I think things have advanced to the point where you could leave it in the movie database, but we're going to show it this way. So let me move the web app out of the way, and we'll simply go to this database. So it's easily found here, and it's got a season year to start off with of 1929, which is how we know it's a virtual TV show. If I go to the movie database and type the same thing, the only results I'll get were real bona fide TV shows, not the virtual one that I need. So we can knock TMDB right out of the box. We're not going to use it. So what I like to do, if I have a series of episodes that aren't named properly for a show like this, is to get into the manual mode, which is a labor of love. So I'll click into the seasons. For this, I'll stay with aired ordering because I'm going to check every episode for the episode name that's probably within the first 30 seconds. And generally, like the early episodes, you're going to see that name tag line at the same spot. If it's 16 seconds for this one cartoon series or 20 for that seconds, you can just open the episode up in VLC and get to that time spot quickly to know what it is. So I like to sort TVDB by all seasons, and I'll show you why. So if you, well, this is the wrong folder. Let's get to an actual directory of the real media I'm showing. So if you open up the episode, you're going to find that episode name, I can't kill the sound on just this. Right there, sinking in the bathtub. So you can simply rename it exactly manually, or you can go here from the all season mode, which I haven't got to yet. For some reason, the TVDB is a slower interaction than it used to be since they've enabled ads all across it. And I don't know what the delay is, but I'm going to pause the video until the website catches up with me. Well, that took a long time. So you want to be in the all seasons mode under aired ordering. And let's go back to the pause video. So we know we're looking for sync in spelled funny. So I can simply use the search feature, find of Google Chrome browser. Nope, I left the K out. And here it is, sinking in the bathtub. So all you have to do is copy that. Go back to the folder that you're keeping all your unknown Looney Tunes videos in, and just right click it and simply rename it this. Then I run FileBot on it to get a better file name once I've identified all the episodes. So it really is kind of easy and methodical, but you do have to identify the episodes manually if the current file name doesn't already have the episode name in it. You can take a chance if it already has the episode name in it. You can get rid of everything else and just leave that name on it. And if you put it in one folder called Looney Tunes 1929, FileBot will figure the rest out and add everything back, including the season folder, with the right expression. But that's something to talk about, because you do need a custom expression. Even though FileBot has its own built-in ones, you might want to follow one of my videos to learn how to use FileBot. You'll see I've got different expressions, and the one I use the most for TV shows, I put a 2 in front of them, and it's TVD structure by air date. I also have TVDB rename only by air date, rename only by DVD order, which means I have to change the episode ordering of the show manually to DVD from TVDB. Then I also have structure by DVD order that requires the same manual adjustment for only that show to the episode ordering pulled from the DVD listing at TVDB. So the trouble is, FileBot comes with its own default expressions, and I have to hold down my shift key to get to them. If I pick organize episodes for Plex, FileBot won't find anything because it's hard to see, but it's pulling metadata from TMDB and nothing exists there. So FileBot is your Plex server's best friend, but watch one of my videos to learn how to set up custom expressions. And let me talk about that now, because you don't have to follow me exactly. So I've got a long expression here. So let me break that out, because that's going to help save your neck in this too. So let me open up a word processor and paste that in and make it all black text. And we'll make it larger so we can read it. So this does a lot. But if you get rid of all this, FileBot won't put the media characteristic information in brackets like the Plex series library or the naming guide tells us to do. Anything in brackets is ignored. FileBot does that in conjunction with media info, And in conjunction with media info, FileBot can also look inside the container file to see if there are either English subtitles or unknown subtitles. I don't really care if a subtitle is in Spanish, German, or French. It doesn't matter if it's not English. So this can label it like this, but it's also good if whoever ripped the media forgot to assign the English subtitle to the tag within the container file. To have the media renamed this way tells me I can then open it up in MKV Toolnix and apply the English subtitle tag to it, the English naming tag to it, to then run through FileBot to get this as part of the file name. So I know it sounds confusing, but just using this would be a great basic expression to name from TVDB. And you have to do some extra stuff because the year isn't normally included at TVDB. So when you set the expression up to use the year, the few series that do have the year in it gets the year added twice. This replace trailing brackets formula fixes that in those small cases, and it just puts the single year in normal entries. So FileBot's amazing, and I've had a lot of help with it. I stole this from somebody in Plexaholics. The developer of FileBot helped me with his subtitle code. He was a great resource. And this last little bit that says SUBT, that tells FileBot to look at external subtitles like in the SRT format, and it will automatically assign the 3-digit language code to the file name, or not to the movie or episode file name, but to the subtitle file, and it works beautifully with SRT subtitles. FileBot cannot tell you if you have a hearing impaired or a forced subtitle, but if your subtitle is just whatever .en.srt, if you prep it by adding a sdh.srt or a .forced srt, then FileBot knows what to do with it. So you could have the default, the hearing impaired, and a forced subtitle all ready to be renamed, and just adding this or SDH to the hearing impaired version lets FileBot tell those subtitles apart. So to speed this whole process up, FileBot used the way I used it can be a great resource too. So now that we're off from that tangent, this is basically it. And I'm going to add this to a test TV show library. So let's get rid of that little preview. Let me find my server. So I'm already into the other existing TV show library. So I'll add a library and I'll test out my theory that I can leave the episode ordering at TMDB. I don't know where I read that. I don't know how I came to buy that information. So we'll call it Kids Test. Browse for media. This test server runs on my older NAS and Docker. So this is the alias to my one shared media folder. I'll go into the TV library sort folder and into the actual Kids TV library folder and just click add. So normally I'd come to advanced and change the episode ordering to TVDB. Let's see what happens if we leave it as the default, the movie database. So here's the library. And it looks like it's scanning perfectly fine where it didn't used to without the additional change. So if this doesn't scan fine for you, just backtrack, manage the library, edit it, go back to advanced, change this to the TVDB, save the changes, and from the show level hit the 3 dots and choose refresh metadata. Oh, actually, you see how it changed? It changed the season poster for these two. So I would still recommend adding this, or maybe setting your whole library up to have episode ordering from the TVDB, and just use the TVDB as your naming Bible. Again, FileBot's default expression names to TMDB and adds the source ID. I don't find it necessary to add the TVDB source ID as long as I've got the proper series name with the proper year. Everything scans in perfectly. So you can do what you want, but you've got to use TVDB ordering on these shows specifically. And that's the last thing I'll show. I'll show you some more examples of this. So if we search for Tom and Jerry, this is not a real TV show and won't be at TMDB. It's a virtual show, and even though these seasons are named funny, you simply name your season folders season 1940, season 1950, and season 1960. And if you have a bunch of these cartoons off a DVD, or they dropped in your lap, identify what episode they are by the name of it at the beginning, copy this and paste that into the file name, and as long as they are in a folder called Tom and Jerry 1940, if we back up here, let's see, back up once more. If we back up to this, see where 1940 is here? That's all you're going to do, and FileBot will take it away with a custom expression. You can manually name too with a FileBot binding, but it won't create the season folders. You'll have to do that normally. So my expression works great for this kind of manual work. And another cool example, if you're into documentaries and you've ripped a few Ken Burns documentaries. Let's take the Civil War, for example. So that's easy. That's an entry as a TV show. The Civil War, the year is 1990, and you name your episodes appropriately, just like you would if you were naming from TMDB or TVDB for any series. The best part is that there's a virtual entry for every Ken Burns series, even the latest, The American Buffalo, which I DVR'd myself. Titled Ken Burns Films, and if you click into it, go to Seasons, and we'll drop down to season 2023. And here's the 2 American Buffalo episodes, and you just name it like this, put it in the right Ken Burns Films folder, and let FileBot do the rest, or you can name manually for something like this because there's not thousands of episodes each season. If we drop back 1 year, you've got the Benjamin Franklin and the U.S. Holocaust documentaries listed for 1 season, and it's just a great way to keep all this content in one spot. Now if we go to the first year, it's only 1 episode, and I'm sure you'll find the Brooklyn Bridge listed as a movie at TMDB. So that's another alternative, but if you have a lot of Ken Burns content, this is the perfect way to keep it all together as a virtual TV show in your TV show library. So it's really not a big secret. It's just using all the Plex rules to your advantage, but virtual TV shows save you so much time for kids series. I'm trying to think what else is that way besides Tom and Jerry and the Looney Tunes, but those are what comes to memory the best because I have both series in my own kids TV show library on Plex for my 2 young grandsons, along with Paw Patrol. Boy, those boys love Paw Patrol. But that's how you get the Looney Tunes series into Plex, and it scans beautifully. It just works great. So, thanks for watching, and happy Plexing.